Hey everybody, welcome to another DMVCBN Comic Book Club. I'm your host Freddy, coming to you from Washington, D.C. Today is Saturday, February 22nd, 2025, and we're here to discuss comics and related media, new and old, print and digital, books, TV, and film. Our last meeting was in early January, and a lot has happened since then. I'm sure most of you know we've had a major shift in American politics. Uh, it's crazy times. So, my goal going forward is to do this at least once a month. And I want to personally invite everyone who's listening to come join me on a future comic book club meeting because DMVCBN is not just a podcast, it's a club. It's a place for people to meet other comic book fans and to share our interests. All are welcome. All right, so let's get started. Today, I'd like to welcome back my special guest, Claude. Welcome back to the show, Claude. How are you doing today?
Good. Happy to be back.
Glad to have you back, man. So real quick, if you want to share your social media, your handle, let people know a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so on Threads you can find me at curly insane guy underscore. I'm on there usually talking about comic books or tabletop RPGs. And I also am just getting into starting streaming on my own Twitch channel, which is Curly Insane Guy. And so far, it's just talking streams where I'm prepping for games or talking about comic books, hopefully in the future. So uh, feel free to follow.
Awesome. Yeah, congrats on just getting started up with your streaming on Twitch. I'll say I just also signed up on Twitch, so one of these days I'm gonna hop on there and show
Heck
my
yeah.
support. It's like I literally don't know anything about TTRPGs, but I want to learn from you because you're the
Okay,
master
yeah,
here.
for sure,
You're
for
the
sure.
mutant mastermind. So I gotta check out what's going on over there, and maybe even we could think about getting DMVCBN on Twitch. I know a lot of other comic
Yeah,
book podcasts, multi-stream live to Twitch, YouTube, other places
other
like
things. Yeah, I was
yeah.
about to say, I immediately forgot where anywhere else. You could stream to LinkedIn. That would be a bold direction. Apparently,
I
that's a
mean,
thing you can do on there,
I'll take a job if I can get one in
right?
this field. Um, but yeah, if anyone who wants to join our club and community has these tech skills and want to help us out, you're more than welcome. This is all a volunteer effort, so like the more people we have involved, what's it called? The more brains, the more. I'm so silly. You know what I'm trying to say?
But my mind went to
Two
many
heads are
hands
better
make
than
lots.
one.
There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah, that's the one that I was thinking of the one you were thinking of, but then
Yeah,
the one I was going for is two heads are better than one, or more heads are better than one. Let's say that.
mini brains make light work. We're just gonna
Yeah,
make we're gonna make our own up.
I love that. All right, so we are here today, like we said, to talk about comic book related media. Um, and there's plenty to talk about. Uh, Today I want to do things a little bit differently. I'd like for us to take turns. So we'll take turns sharing one thing that we are interested in or that we enjoyed over the past month or so. And if someone else also read or watched that thing, we can discuss it for a bit. And then the next person can share their thing, and then we'll just keep taking turns until we run out of time. So I guess I will go first. And I've got to talk about what is arguably the biggest thing in the comic book world right now. I mean, technically it's a movie, but let's talk about Captain America: Brave New World. I've got my Falcon and Winter Soldier shirt on because I don't yet have a Captain America Sam Wilson shirt, but it's on my want list. Hopefully I can get one soon. But yeah, this movie came out February 14th, um, right in the middle of Black History Month on Valentine's Day. We've got Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, Captain America, and we've got Harrison Ford taking over the role of Thunderbolt Ross, who, I mean, it's pretty obvious he's the Red Hulk. I will say that let's try to discuss things in a generally spoiler-free kind of way, unless we say otherwise.
that actually won't be a problem for me because I have not seen the movie yet. I'm
Okay.
gonna see it, so I'm waiting till my wife can see it with me, and because of work schedules and stuff, it'll probably be like a week and a half or so till I get to go out and see it. So,
Okay.
yeah, looking forward to
There's
it though.
still time.
I've heard a lot, so I've definitely been spoiled on a few points already. But I those usually don't bother me too much in going to see a movie. Like it doesn't affect my enjoyment a ton. So
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, like honestly, at this point, I feel like with Marvel movies in particular, spoilers are always out there immediately. So now it feels like as a fan, more of the joy is just in the journey of seeing how things unfold
Yeah, like the
versus,
execution
yeah,
versus like the actual twist of it, because there's not really a twist anymore, but you can still like, oh, they did it well, so it's
exactly.
yeah, it's still fun.
Like I feel like in a different world, Thunderbolt Ross being Red Hulk would have been the twist. But like we all knew this going in. It's been all over the promotions. It's
Yeah, it
been
was in the
literally like,
promotions,
yeah.
so
So it's been like a whole year of knowing this. So, but there are other little things that I think did surprise me. I mean, I wasn't very surprised to be honest, but that's because like I'm very familiar with the comics, and I'm also I see all the stuff online, so
yeah,
it is what
it's
it
pretty
is.
unavoidable if you pay attention to the space at all. It's gonna happen.
But that said, it did not really diminish my enjoyment of this movie. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. Um, Let me see, what can I say? So if I were to speak as spoiler free as I can about this, I would just say, um, yeah, if you like Captain America, if you like Marvel, go see this movie. It is literally the number one movie in the world right now. I looked up the stats on Box Office Mojo, and it's made over 200 million so far worldwide. It's since the day it came out, it's been number one, and you know, props to it because a lot of people were doubting this movie, saying that they didn't think it was going to be successful. Uh, Maybe because it has a black lead playing Captain America. People, I mean, right now we're seeing a major assault on DEI in our politics, um, which means diversity, equity, and inclusion. So it's like I'm not going to get into it, but
I was
like,
about
what does
to say,
that even
yeah,
mean?
some of the worst voices have been amplified right now to like be negative towards it, so it's good to see that it's kind of getting past that with people.
But for people who watch Falcon Winter Soldier or people who are going to watch this movie, we know that that is part of of Sam Wilson's story. Like he spoke about in Falcon Winter Soldier how you know he has a harder road to climb because he's not being accepted as Captain America by everybody immediately. Like a lot of people in real life and in fiction are still stuck on Steve Rogers, and I love them both. So it's like, why can't we love them both? Like, why isn't there
Yeah,
room for both?
there's enough room in my heart for both of them, you know.
Yeah,
People just need to
and
open up a little.
I do want to mention that this movie does bring back Isaiah Bradley, played by Carl Lumley, and it also brings back Joaquin um, Torres, and that's I mean I don't know if that's a spoiler to say, but he's basically the Falcon's new sidekick, or
Yeah,
he's Captain America's new sidekick as the Falcon.
I think they showed enough of that in the trailer to where like
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty known. How like
Mm-hmm.
how was he in it?
I like him a lot. Like ever since Falcon Winter Soldier, I think he's a great addition to the world. I mean, I definitely have my particular biases about this film. And should I get into it since we're talking about
A
it?
little, yeah, why not? Why not?
I'll just say this, and I apologize to people who don't want to agree with me, but this is just my opinion. Um, I have noticed that Sam Wilson does not have a lot of significant relationships with women in his shows and films, but he does have a lot of significant relationships with men, namely Steve, Bucky, Joaquin, like, the list
Yeah.
goes on. So it's like, it's actually pretty typical for comics, to have like a hero and a sidekick or a partner. Like it's been
Yeah.
that way since Batman and Robin. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's gay. But in my mind, as a queer person, I like to headcanon him as queer, especially with Bucky. I felt like they had
Interesting.
something
Yeah, I was about to
special
say
going on.
I've really only heard it for him in relation to Bucky, but it is interesting that there hasn't been like a female love interest for him or anything.
And that said, there are like a few women in this movie. There's one controversial one people might be
Yep.
aware of. Uh, I I think her name is Shireen Haas. She's the Israeli actress who plays Sabra, but she goes by a different name. She's basically another Black Widow in this film.
Yeah.
And so I think that has been controversial since the start. But um, I will say her presence in this movie is not, you know, damaging, I don't think. Um, Also, she's not really played as a romantic interest for Sam, um, which is funny because Anthony Mackie has said out of all the Marvel people, he does want to have a romantic relationship with Black Widow, but he was talking about Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
Um, and Anthony Mackie has also like publicly like poo-pooed the idea of his character being queer.
Oh,
He
okay.
doesn't like that, but that's what I'm saying. Everyone has different perspectives and opinions, and that's valid. I'm just sharing mine because this is the
Yeah,
forum for it.
exactly. Like that's the whole thing about like talking about things in this space. It's like what you would like to see, what would be cool for you. Like it, yeah.
And I will say there is another female character that's introduced in this film. She has a very minor role, but I could potentially see her being romantically linked to Sam in the future, maybe. Um, I will say I won't say who it is, but I will say if you were a fan of the Mindy show, it's the actress from that show, and it
Okay.
really cracks me up to see her go from that role to this role. It's very different. All right. Let's see. I think I don't really have too much else to say other than go see this movie, or at least if you have to wait for streaming, wait for it to come out on streaming and watch that because
I
it's
don't want to wait for streaming. I've been doing that for a lot of them, and I'm like, no, not this one. I really
yeah,
want to
not this
like,
one.
yeah. I mean, I haven't gone to a ton of movies in general lately. The last one I went to Wicked actually,
Yeah,
which was awesome. But yeah, I really want to go to this one before it's out of theaters, and it should have a good long run. So I'm not like worried about it, but I want to be able to hop into the conversation more by seeing it.
like I will say this movie is worthy of the big screen. Like to go from Falcon Winter Soldier as a TV show to him getting his own movie, it's a big deal. It's like almost as big as Black Panther in my mind. I mean, there's a lot of online discussion about this. It is a very complicated position for a black man to be in such a patriotic role, to be like in this position as like like having to please like a lot of different people.
Yeah,
Like he's a military veteran. He's like there's a lot going on. It's very political and politicized. But that said, it's still focused on being an entertaining film, and I do think that you know one of the downsides of it being a film, I think it's like under 2 hours or so. It it does kind of have to simplify its politics to a degree.
yeah,
It gets to the point, it resolves things, and it keeps the plot moving. It actually references several other MCU movies from the past that so it's bringing in a lot of different elements. We know about the Hulk. And you might be aware of some other elements that I'm not going to mention right now, but yeah, it's a big film, and it's definitely worth seeing on the big screen. So if you get a chance to go do that, and then yeah, like I'm just glad that it's already doing well and not a flop because people have been saying it's going to be a flop.
yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
think you
people
can call this a
declared it
flop.
immediately as yeah, but
Like critically, I don't care what critics say because I do want to say if you're black, half of the hate you get is racism. Now you might get hate just in terms of quality or bias or whatever. Not everything's for everybody, but
yeah.
but like it's hard to discern in like from a headline
Where it's
from
coming
a
from,
review
yeah.
where is the negativity coming from. All right, so I think I've said enough about Captain America. Would you like to pick something else to talk
Yeah,
about?
so going on the comic book side of things, the big Marvel event going on right now is the One World Under Doom, which
Yeah,
read the first issue of that a couple weeks ago. It's not super fresh on my mind, but you know the idea of it, and now we're getting the tie-ins that go with it. So one that I read this week was it's probably going to be mirrored on there. Yep, is Weapon X-Men.
that
Um,
looks right to me. I
Oh, it does.
I'm
Okay, cool,
matching it.
cool.
Yeah.
Which is barely tied to it. There's like little references to the fact that Doom's in charge, but this one doesn't have a ton. But
Weapon X-Men, is that the team that showed up in X-Men like at the fall of X period?
no, this one they bill it as like a totally new thing because
Oh,
Deadpool, yeah, Deadpool even says in one of the because he's in it, he's in one panel, he's like, I can't believe no one's used this name before. Like, and he
oh, this is
lists,
the one with
yeah,
Deadpool, Cable, Wolverine. Is that right? He
yeah,
posts
and
from the
then
cast.
yeah, it's got Warpath. Or I get him and his brother mixed up, so I might have the name
Thunderbird.
wrong. Thunderbird. It's Thunderbird and then Chamber.
I'm glad
So
Thunderbird is coming back because like I've been missing him since the fall of X.
yep. And he's back in his old costume, which they make a point of like mentioning, because he did get a new look in the Krakoa era briefly
Yeah,
when he showed back up. So they haven't really said why, and he doesn't get a lot to do in this issue. It looks like they're gonna expand on it later.
yeah. They,
But it
I
was
hope they
fun.
do because like if they're just resetting him for no good reason, that will be kind of annoying to me. But
Yeah, yeah, that's what I
hopefully,
don't know what they're doing with it. He was kind of like out of control in this issue, and they didn't explain why he was. Yeah, so like there's a whole thing where he kind of gets into it with Wolverine for a little bit, and they haven't like gone through and explained why he was where he was when they found him in this issue. So I'm hoping they don't just like yada yada past that, and they actually give like a good reason. The art's really good in it. I'm trying to let me check. It's weird. The page that usually has who it's in it is like not at the start of this one.
it's okay.
So on pencils, it's crisscross, and then
Oh,
we've
I
got
like Chris Cross.
yeah,
He's been
it's
around for a long time.
and the art's really good. I think the only thing that stands out is kind of like weird for the issue overall is that there are like no women on the team, at least so far.
Yeah,
It's like a
that's
very like
interesting.
dude book. But even as far as like non-members of the team, there's like no women with a speaking role. And I was like, that's really unusual.
That
But
is, yeah.
it sets up what's coming next, and I think they'll probably add to the cast as it goes, and maybe explain why everyone's in here. Because at the very beginning, it's kind of like a twist and then setup. And
Hmm.
but for me, I'll probably follow this one because I doubt it'll last that long, given that it's a Doom world tie-in, and the art's really solid. So yeah, we'll see where it goes with that. I really enjoyed it, and then I've got a couple other One World Under Doom books, but I'll circle back to that, and I'll let you take a turn.
Cool. Like, I'll say I have not read this yet, but you know, based off your recommendation, I might have to check it out. Yeah. There are a lot of X books these days. I have
Yeah,
a few on my list that I've been reading, and I lament the fact that I cannot read them all, and yet I also lament the fact that there are so many of them. I'm like, how am I supposed to?
I think they kind of flood the market a little too much with it. I didn't end up sticking with a lot of the big books after the relaunch, but part of that is like just my buying habits. But
Yeah.
none of them grabbed me to the extent of some books. There is one book I have here to talk about that I've been following. But yeah, it's not an X book.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna try sharing my screen a bit, and
Yeah, it's
this
showing
may
up
or
for
may
me.
not work. Good. Okay. Um, yeah, but yeah, I don't know if we mentioned, but Joe Casey is the writer. He's done some X books in the past,
He has. He
and
has.
some of them are better than others. Like I think I have a few that I liked and a few that I didn't like as much. So yeah, it would be interesting to check it out. Um, Chamber is here. That's a
Yeah, I
weird
like
pick.
that. Yeah, it is a weird pick. They even mentioned they're like he kind of just disappeared after the Krakoa stuff, which the I mean, so many characters did, which is
Yeah.
why it stuck out to me that I was like, I mean, surely you could have put I don't know what she's doing right now, but like Boom Boom feels like a good add to this
So
team.
so I did see Boom Boom show up.
Is she somewhere? Okay, that
I
explains it.
guess I guess I'll take a minute to talk about that book then. Um, so let's talk about X-Men because the mainline X-Men book
Yeah.
because I saw Boom Boom show up there. Um, so I've read up to issue number 10 now. Um, this was that issue came out in January, and this is Jed McKay's X title. Uh, Nito Diaz is the artist currently. I think he's a guest artist because like the art has been shifting a lot.
A
It
lot.
started out
Yeah,
with
that's what I've
Brian
heard.
Stegman, so like that's kind of a downside because I do think um, a book that's supposed to be your like A-list book needs to have consistent
Consistent
talent.
talent. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they're doing this because they're trying to release it more frequently. I think it's like every 2 weeks. But um, yeah, they don't need to do that. Just like, you can take your time if you just like, have a consistent team and people will still buy it. Like I remember back in the day reading Astonishing X-Men with John Cassidy and Joss Whedon, and it took forever for some issues to come out, but we
Yeah.
still enjoyed it at the time. So
Yeah, as long as it's not like schedule slippage to the point where it's like, oh, this was supposed to come out a month ago or 2 months and we're there. Like, I think if you space it out, you also give the artist time to do it. But maybe they might be committed to a bunch of other books right now too. So it's
yeah,
hard to
I think
say.
for me, I would always rather have a consistent team that takes longer than a,
It really throws me
inconsistent team.
whenever I'm like if I go through a binge on like Marvel Unlimited or something and suddenly the art shifts in a big way. I know a lot of the
Yeah.
times I try to get like a similar artist so that it doesn't feel as jarring, but when it is jarring, like it can throw me off of a run.
Yeah, and I will say Neto Diaz isn't a bad artist. He did the Air of Apocalypse mini leading into the uh from the Ashes era, and his style here, he's definitely trying to pay homage to Ryan Stegman, but it's not. I mean, it is noticeably different, and it just takes you out of the story for a moment. So
Yeah.
that's frustrating. So X Men just ended their Raid on Great Malkin arc. So have you been keeping up with this book at all?
No. So I got the first couple and then I've just been like waiting till they hit unlimited or
Yeah,
just hearing the conversation about it. But it didn't grab me right at the start, so I just especially because it hit with a bunch of other X books. So I kind
hmm
of tried everything and honestly didn't end up sticking with any of them. But
that's fair. That's
yeah,
fair. That's again, like we're saying, it's just too many options. So it's like you gotta
yeah. I
pick
I
and
love
choose.
Stegman on the art at the beginning for sure. The because I just joined in at the very beginning, they weren't really getting into the meat of any of the characters yet, so they felt very much like just the most typical versions of them. And that was part of why I kind of fell off of it.
Yeah,
But
like I kind of like Jed McKay generally. I mean, I haven't read everything he's done, but
I
what I
like a lot
have
of his
read,
stuff. Yeah.
generally, I think he's a decent writer. But on this book, I agree. The characterization has been lacking, except for maybe like Scott. But everyone else is kind of like
Well,
not getting a
he's
lot of
on main
credit.
Avengers, right? He's on the main Avengers
I
right
haven't
now.
really kept up with that after the
Okay.
issue where Storm joined. I do want to like get it back into it, but yeah, he's on that as
Well, that's
well.
what I was gonna say. If I wonder how that one is because I haven't read much of that Avengers. He might be better at like smaller teams because the Moon Knight that he did was phenomenal, but it's the small, a small cast.
Like I
But
really like Blood Hunt, the event, but again, that was an event story. Um, so I think with this book, on top of that, we're seeing that a lot of the characters are getting their own solo books. So Psylocke has one, Magic has one. Does anybody else have one? Juggernaut is in the like
He
digital
appears,
astonishing
yeah, I was about
stuff
to say
right
he
now.
pops up as a guest in a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah. So um, it is what it is. It's not bad, but it's not my favorite. But it is. It does have something that brings me back every issue. So that's all I'll say about that. Would you like to pick the next thing to talk about?
Sure. So, I mean, I was very Marvel heavy for me this week. The next one I got was Doom Academy. One of the
All right.
reasons I grabbed this, um, I got the Zoe Laveau variant cover because
Interesting.
honestly,
Can you show that again?
yeah, I just kind of liked it more than the standard cover for it. I got a bunch
Okay.
of variants actually this week. I didn't I didn't go main cover. I grabbed this one because I was wondering slash hoping it would carry over some other minor characters from I forget which series it's from, but
Strange
basically
Academy.
not from Strange Academy. I knew it would take the characters from there, but there was, and I wish I could. I wanted to look it up, and then I worked late last night, so I didn't. But there was mention of another school in Latveria, and it had like some vampire students and some other stuff. So I was wondering if it would kind of bring those into the fold and show them against the Strange Academy characters, but it didn't. It just stuck with the Strange Academy and then made a bunch of new characters. But it did have some stuff to say. One of the Doom Academy students that's new to the book, his father basically works as the propaganda person for Doctor Doom. So it talks a little about how he adjusts the news to make it more favorable to Doom, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then otherwise, it's just like set up their, they have to get used to a new school. Basically, everyone from Strange Academy gets moved to the new Sorcerer Supreme's Academy. So they all have to move to Latveria. And some of them don't go because their parents are like, you're not going to Latveria. And then the other ones have to adjust. They meet a new cast of characters, and it's going to just be those playing off of each other. So I thought it was pretty interesting. I'm always looking for books that kind of add new characters because I like latching on to characters that'll probably only ever get like six background appearances, but that's just how I am. And so yeah, I was hopeful that this would do that. I do want to read more of Strange Academy because they reference a lot of stuff where they're like mentioning their pasts and everything that happened in those books. So I thought it was pretty solid. The art's also good in it. I need to check names again. Pascal Ferry as the
I love
artist.
Pascal Ferry. Like he's been
What else
around
has
a
he
long time
done?
too.
I don't.
He's been around for a long time. Things that stand out in my brain. He did one issue of New Avengers with the Century that was really good. And he
Ooh,
also
okay.
did. I recall him doing like something with the Inhuman. That might have been it actually, but like no, but he's done Spider Man. He's done Doctor
Okay.
Strange. He's done.
I
He recently did the Doctor Strange with Jed McKay a little bit. I don't know if it was a whole run, but it was the issues that I
gotcha.
read.
Okay.
He's been around since like
Yeah,
the
it
2000s
was
at least.
really good. Yeah, I'll have to check out more of his stuff. I'm kind of bad with names
That's
sometimes,
okay.
so I'm like I don't remember seeing his stuff before, but yeah, I really like it here. It seems like a
Oh,
really good fit for the
he did a run
material.
on Ultimate Fantastic Four that I loved back in the day.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't think Ultimate Fantastic Four has a lot of fans, but I was reading
I
it
was about
for
to say,
like
yeah, I wasn't super into it.
up until Ultimatum. I was reading it, and he came in like right up like at the end of that period. Like he had a good long run with I want to say who did he have a run with? I can't remember, but I want to say like Joe Kelly or something, but I could be wrong about that.
Oh,
But the point is, it might have been Joe Casey actually. Now that I think about it, I think it might have been Joe Casey
really? That's funny.
and Pascal Ferry on Ultimate FF, and it was like interesting at the time. That was like the peak of that title,
Once a
arguably.
bunch of people had jumped off.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but anyway, I'm getting off track. I did want to go back to Doom and, and this one world under Doom. Like, I haven't picked up any of the titles yet. I'm aware of the event going on. I think the main book just came out. So have you read that main book also?
Yes, I did. And it's funny because a lot of the discourse coming out of that one is were people saying, and obviously joking a little bit, but they're like, oh, maybe things aren't so so bad under Doom, honestly, which is certainly a take.
It sounds true to life, like
Exactly. I get what they're saying. A lot of the books this week are highlighting like maybe not so great.
like
This one a little bit is like the Academy is actually really good, and the like he just kind of absorbed the staff from Strange's Academy, so he's not really interfering a ton there. So this one's one that kind of paints him in a decent light. They do say that like there's a lot of propaganda to make everything sound better, but the next book that I'm going to talk about shows the bad side of Doom as a leader.
yeah, like I do want to mention uh we just have to say, I know there's a lot of Doom fans out there, and you have my respect. But we just have to remind everyone, we have to remind ourselves that he is a fascist dictator, okay?
Right?
Um,
I
and
I always stick to like a couple of bad things he did, and I'm like, I just can't get past these. I get that he's. Well, I mean, the thing is, he's so compelling. Like
he's
you love
charismatic,
him being
compelling.
around, but
Yeah.
like obviously you don't agree
Like
with
he's one
him
of the greatest villains of all time,
for
arguably. Like
sure.
Darth Vader was inspired by him. Um, so like I get why he's so popular. I'm not particularly excited about this event because like I think partially because of the times we're living in, but like also, yeah, Doom is just kind of a tricky character for me because like it's kind of you see the story a lot where like I think back to the final episodes of the Spider-Man '90s cartoon. I think it
Yeah.
was Secret Wars, and Doom was there, and he had his own like fascist world on an alien planet, and it looks good on the surface, but then once you got deeper in, quickly you found out it was actually pretty
Not super.
bad.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
I think he's really great. Like he's fun to read about. I feel like he's best used sparingly. I just don't want to like. And I mean, this event is like all Doom all the time, so they're gonna have to take like a big break after they're done with this. Otherwise, it'll be too much
and
saturation of
honestly, like
Doom.
I'm already worried about being oversaturated with Doom because like we had the whole Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars remake, and
Hmm.
then now we're gonna have Doom in the MCU coming soon.
That's
Uh,
my big concern. I just don't want them to like start treating him more like an Avengers only or like a always have him as an everybody threat. I really like whenever he's in the Fantastic Four corner because that rivalry with
yeah,
Reed is so important. So if they
like
like make him an everybody thing, it kind of dilutes that to me.
yeah, I'm still wondering if he's gonna actually show up in the Fantastic Four movie or if he's just gonna be
I
like a
think it'll be
tease at
after
the post
credits.
credit scene.
I'm betting credits. Yeah.
And like that's kind of questionable without having seen it. Like maybe they'll make it work, but like as a someone who's familiar with the comics and FF and the Reed and the Reed Doom dynamic, like I feel like that's kind of essential to the character.
Yeah.
But
I
we'll
mean, but
see.
the main book is written by oh man, me and names right now. The main writer on Fantastic Four. Um,
Ryan North.
Yeah, North is doing both. So like he clearly has a good grasp of Doom as a character. So I think that's good that it's not like the main FF book is North and then they bring someone else in to be Doom. So like at least yeah, at least it's being handled pretty solidly. Like there's continuity there.
Well, I will definitely have to see what's going on with this. I might wait until it's on Marvel Unlimited, or I might not. We'll have to
Yeah,
see.
usually for events what I do is I'll follow like the main book and then pick one tie-in that I like. That's the easiest thing because tie-ins are short, and I can
Yeah,
commit
that's a
to
good
those.
approach. I
Yeah.
like that. All right.
But yeah, back to you. What have you got?
All right. Well, I do want to take a quick moment to have a news break because I think I meant to do this at the top of the club, but I think if we talk about it now, that's probably pretty cool. So I'm going to share a picture here. Um, yeah, we got some new news from bleedingcool.com. They said new Marvel and DC Comics crossovers announced at Comics Pro. So at the Comic Book Retailer Summit held in Glendale, California, the editors in chief, both of DC and Marvel, they they announced that we're gonna get a new Marvel DC crossover, two one shots. Marvel DC produced by Marvel Comics and DC Marvel produced by DC Comics. And this should be coming out later this year. So this is huge news. It's been like
It
decades
is
since the last
wild.
one. Like this was announced just yesterday. So how are you feeling about this news?
I am hyped.
Yeah.
This is really cool, because obviously I was either not around or way too young for the original crossovers between the two. And
Wait a minute,
yeah,
how old are you?
well, I'm I'm 33. I forget when this came out exactly.
Yeah, like
I
I'm
think I was a
35,
baby.
so possibly, but like I was okay. So it was 96 when
Yeah,
they
so I would have
did
been
the
4.
when they
Um,
did the Amalgam universe. It was 1996, and I was maybe a little older, but I maybe about 6 or so. But I think it was 7 maybe. But the point is, I distinctly remember my cousin had some of these books, and we would
really,
and like very, I was able to read some of it. It was very strange because it's like I was aware enough at the time to realize that it was a big deal, but it was
but
also
not
like a
fully.
weird
Yeah,
story because like they merged not only like they didn't just meet up like Batman and Wolverine merged bodies and their
yeah, it was a
identities
whole
and
thing.
like
Like,
so that
yeah,
was strange. But then a few years later, in the early 2000s, we got a storyline. George Perez and I think it was Marv Wolfman. They did,
yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Wolfman.
yeah, they did the just JLA Avengers crossover. Now that I was there for. Like, it
See,
was
I didn't get into
amazing.
comics until like college, basically. So yeah, I've only been in it for like 10, no, probably like
Gotcha.
14 years or so. So yeah, I missed out on those.
Well, they recently released
That's what I saw. Yeah.
um a reprint of the of that JLA Avengers crossover. If you can get your hands on it, I highly recommend it. It's like comic book history. It's like
And that's the
so
assumption everyone is like, well, obviously that sold amazingly well and is continuing to sell, so let's do it again. Like you're just
yeah,
printing money. It's really like I'm so glad it's happening. Uh,
yeah.
and the
I have
big
no
thing,
idea who's going to be working on it. I don't
that's
think
the
they've announced
thing,
that
like
yet.
that's the speculation. They haven't said who. There's been a lot of like cross-pollination of talent between the two already because I mean, you've got your writers and your artists. So I feel like it's someone that both companies trust. But I mean, it's yeah, one at Marvel and one at DC, so they can kind of do it however they want.
And it's so
I don't
interesting
know.
how they're still maintaining that like competitiveness about it. We got your crossover, we got our crossover.
Right?
Let's see which one
I
sells
know. I was about to
better.
say, is that going to be the big thing? Are they going to come out the same week, one from each publisher?
Yeah,
Like,
I cannot wait to find out.
who do you have any like dream
I mean,
creative
I
teams?
I'll admit I think Hickman is a little overrated, especially at this point in his career. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's working on it. He's such a big name.
That would make
Um,
sense to me.
uh, DC. I mean, Mark Wade is a legend.
That's where I was. I was like,
He's
it's
he's
if you put Wade and Mora together, like
yeah.
get
He's worked for
Mora
both
on.
companies, so like, why wouldn't they have Mark Wade? I mean, unless Mark Wade is retiring. Like, I don't know. He's been kind of like
Oh, that's
shaken,
right.
as most of us have been after the election. But I think he's still writing comics. We shall see. Um,
He said it was going to be tough for him, but I think he's got stuff coming out. But I
yeah, like,
mean, I think this would be it would be great for him, honestly, if he got to, instill some hope by having a Superman Spider-Man team up, Like
yeah.
I think there could be some really cool stuff there.
Like,
Um,
I will say, I'll throw Jed McKay's name into the ring just because like he has been on so many A-list books lately. I wouldn't
I
be
could
surprised if
I
they
could
give him
see
that
them having
opportunity.
Chichetto be the artist for one of them.
He's definitely at top artist for Marvel with his Ultimate Spider-Man and
Yeah.
previous books. Yeah,
I think he's got something coming out for DC as well soon. I wanna say, don't take this
really.
as gospel, but I thought he was gonna be working on a new Batman thing over there.
I don't know. I did hear about a new Batman announcement, which I don't have a picture for yet, but I'll mention it.
It's the
It's
Fraction, right?
Matt Fraction and Jorge Jimenez.
Oh, it is
I'm
Jimenez.
pretty sure he was because he was mentioning how he's excited. Like that's his first Batman number
Yeah,
one.
what
Like
did
he's
I,
been on a lot of different Batman books with different writers, but
he
now he's going to
has.
have a number one book that's coming out. So that's exciting. Um, I've been following his run with Chip Zdarsky, and like I think that's finishing up. I have to catch up on a few issues, but
Yeah, so
yeah.
I was definitely thinking of Jimenez. But
But yeah, he can be a
could
good.
you
They should get
imagine
him.
Checchetto on like Batman?
That
It
would be
would
pretty
be it
cool.
would be
Yeah, I don't know if
sick.
I've ever seen that. I can't recall him doing too much at DC.
I don't
But
know if he has.
yeah, but I do think Jorge Jimenez could be another good artist to put on this. You mentioned Dan Mora.
Yeah, Dan
Um,
Morris seems like a really like solid bet um
yeah,
to me just because just
love
a
Dan
great
Mora.
style but also like close enough to DC house style like it's kind of
But they
the
have to put
ideal.
A-list talent on these
They
books.
have
If
to.
they
Like
don't, I will
this
be
is
so
not
upset.
a yeah, this is not a throwaway or like a brand new talent that's not super tested. Like they need someone who's gonna like really just fully go for it. They mentioned so I one of the first things I watched upon hearing this news was Comic Pop's response to it. And one of the things they pointed out that is so true is that the variant cover possibilities, they're going to sell so many variant covers by just
Oh
grabbing
my God.
grabbing like can you imagine
I
a
didn't even think
Peach
about that.
Momoko cover with the Justice League? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, they're gonna hurt a lot of people's wallets, is what I see
I'm
happening.
sure. Yeah.
But that's what they're saying. They're like, this concept, like, they're gonna
You
see
know,
that it makes a ton of money, and they'll probably want to do it again because, yeah, like DC especially has been doing collected, like they sell a book that's just the variant covers that have come out for a certain amount of time.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
if they do that for this, like there's another book on your shelf. It's yeah,
I
it's
want to
smart.
throw out two more names that might be good artists for this. Over at Marvel, we've got RB Silva and Pepe Larraz. They did a lot with the X-Men. RB Silva has been like, I think he's on the One World Under Doom right now, and he's done, a lot of event books, so it could be up his alley.
Yeah.
Um, um, I feel like there's an artist. Oh, I do love Lucas Wernick. I don't know if they would get him for this, but I would love to see it. Like he can do no wrong in my opinion. Um, but yeah, there's lots of great talents to choose from. So we will keep our eyes peeled to see where this goes. Um, all right, so I'll let you pick the next thing to talk about.
Okay, so it feels like I'm just too much One World Under Doom right now, but I have one last one,
Sure, go for
which
it.
was Thunderbolts Doomstrike,
Okay.
which again I got a variant cover because Songbird, and
Yeah,
it's a really dramatic cover. So this one is really interesting because it's showing more of the despot side of Doom in that he basically tries to enlist Bucky as the head of his secret police. And when Bucky is resistant to that, Doom shows how petty he can be. And it is heavy stuff. It definitely has a bunch of like mentions and allusions to the Thunderbolts run just before this, which I haven't
yeah.
read.
I read
So
the first
now I
two
want to.
issues, and the next two are the final two are on my list. Yeah,
So I'm definitely gonna check back in and read. I'm gonna probably read a bunch of Thunderbolts,
it's
because
weird to me how Bucky is now like the headliner
the
for
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts. He
Yeah, so
never was before.
that's one of the reasons that I was like, I want the Songbird cover because Songbird is definitely more of like, and
Yes,
he
he's been
says
a
that
Thunderbolts from like
he's
jump.
like, I'm in charge. Like he makes a statement to her like, I'm in charge of them right now, or like I have the name, but the Thunderbolts is your team, which I thought was cool. I was like, yeah, give her that nod. But
Yeah,
I hope more show up. It's not a big cast yet because people are scared to move against Doom. So I think he's going to gather like a resistance as he goes. And I hope Atlas is among them. I don't know his current status in the comics, but Atlas and Beetle or Mach 7. He's
Hmm.
always a different Mock.
Right.
I hope he shows up. Um, and yeah, it's really good. It's of the One World Under Doom that I grabbed this week. It's definitely my favorite. And if I follow any of them, it'll be this one because I'm a
Interesting.
big fan of Bucky, but it's also really solid art. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Tommaso Bianchi.
Bianchi. Yeah, there's a panel specifically of Black Widow in this at one point, and it's great. It's got a very like painted style to it as well,
Yeah,
which I'm a
interesting.
big
I'm not
fan of.
familiar with that artist, so I'll have to
It's
see what's
good. It's
going on
very
over
like
there.
moody art, like very dark.
Hmm.
But that's perfect because like Bucky is like the moodiest boy. So
Yeah.
it works out really well. And to me, this one's like the book to follow if you're like, I'm not super down with the whole Doctor Doom thing. This one's like, yeah, he can be the worst. So it's yeah, it's got my pick as far as One World Under Doom books to stick with. And I think it does well, like with its cast compared to some of the other ones that I've read.
Interesting. All right. Well, I think I'd like to, for a moment, take us over to the DC side of things.
Yes, I
Uh,
didn't get any this week, so I'm
yeah, but I saw that online you had mentioned you picked this up a while back. DC Power, Rise of the Power Company
yes.
number
Ah, I don't
one.
yeah.
Like I read this recently, and this falls off of our last conversation. 2 episodes or clubs ago, we did Absolute Power, and we went over the entire event with Amanda Waller and everything that happened. So if you didn't get to watch that, go read it and then go watch it, and then come join us and talk about this because this is a direct follow up to all of that. Um, and it's also kind of like their Black History Month special DC Power event. Um, it features the Black heroes of DC. We've got Josiah Power. Is that his name? Yeah.
Yep.
We've got Vixen. We've got Cyborg, and we've got Green Lantern, who is Sojourner Mullen. We've
Hmm.
got Signal, and we've got Black Lightning, and we even have Jace Fox Batman. So let me just say, this is not really a spoiler, but the thing that made this book unforgettable for me is just seeing Batman playing spades. Batman and Signal, like we got the Black Batman and we got Signal playing spades, which is something I never thought I would see. So for that alone, this issue is worth picking up. But it does have a lot of other interesting stories. It's like an anthology book with different stories.
Yeah, I
With these
think DC
characters.
does really well with anthologies in general. I feel like most of what I've gotten from them recently has been that. They had like they do a bunch of interesting specials where they'll have like a Valentine's one. I remember last year, I think it was, I don't know if that was around Valentine's, but there was How to Lose a Guy Gardner in 10
Yeah,
days.
they
And it
do
was just like
Valentine's,
it was
Christmas, all the
romance one.
holidays
Yeah,
and
I think it's really
cultural.
cool and it's a good way to like try out different artists and writers and give them a chance with these characters. So I think
Yeah,
they should always have anthologies going over there because
yeah.
they're good
At
with
its
them.
best, that's a good thing, but at its worst, though, I do kind of feel like sometimes, we're giving Black artists and writers a chance for
For
Black
one
History Month,
month. Yeah, they
and then
get
and
like
then
here's your
and then like,
try and then
yeah.
they don't get to
Now,
continue the story. Yeah.
now to their credit, like they do have a few other books and titles throughout the year. Like they even mentioned the Cyborg miniseries that came out not too long ago. But yeah, it has to be a sustained effort. Like I don't know, like we're seeing an assault on DEI right now.
Yeah.
Basically, DEI is just a code word for anything that's black or minority.
Yeah, that's all you see in the comments section is like people using that as a substitute for what they actually want to say, which is yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So that's why I'm glad that we're able to support a book like this because we do like it is valuable to have black artists and writers sharing their perspectives in the comic book space. We don't have a lot, honestly. Like I think we need more, not
for
less.
sure,
That
for sure.
that's my opinion. Any other thoughts about this book?
It's another one where I'm like, I hope to see these characters interact some more and bring them back.
Yeah,
Give
Black
these,
Lightning also has his own title again right now.
yeah, yeah,
That's on
yeah.
my
I was
read
happy to
list.
see him in there.
Hmm.
Because yeah, he's one that I haven't followed a ton, but every time he shows up, I'm like, oh, he's awesome, and there isn't a book to follow after. Like he
Yeah,
just kind of shows up and he's cool, and then yeah.
I
So
like Black Lightning. I'll admit I did not stick with his CW show just because I didn't stick with any of the CW shows. But
yeah, I had the same problem. I watched, I think, the first four or so of it and
yeah, I
really
watched
liked it,
some
but
like the first couple. Yeah.
it was slow moving in a way that CW is.
Hmm.
Like,
They're always playing a long game, or they were at the time.
yeah.
Um, uh, and even beyond that, Black Lightning is always like a tricky character because I believe he was invented like relatively early on, but his character has been diluted because you had in the early cartoons they had to make him Black Vulcan, which is a different
Yep.
character, and then later on we got Static Shock, and Static is like Milestone, but he's also been DC from time to time. So it's like you have all these other, we affectionately call them Electric Negroes, but it's just it is what it is.
Yeah.
Black Lightning can stand on his own, so hopefully, he will. He, hopefully, this moment in time will be good for him. He's also on Justice League Unlimited, which I also have been reading. I don't know
Oh,
if I have
really?
time to get into it, but yeah, that's another
Yeah.
thing that I read
It's
this
a
week.
yeah. I really like the whole angle that DC has right now. I've been reading the Question
I love the
miniseries that's
question.
been
Oh, I
going.
read the first issue. I want to read the rest. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm reading on Unlimited because I missed when it was coming out. But I just love that they're pulling in like any random characters. Like it feels like the world is so big because of it. And then the Atom Project has been
oh
really
yeah,
cool. I think it's only the first one's out so far. Hopefully the second one's not out because if it is, I missed it. But
yeah.
yeah,
I haven't read the Adam Project. Again, that has John Ridley, who I have my complicated feelings about as a
gotcha.
writer.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I might like based off of the Adams appearance in the Justice League Unlimited book. I am curious to see what's going on in their own book.
It's an interesting book, yeah, and they like share a lot of characters across all the books right now. Like with the
Yeah.
Challengers of the Unknown being kind of in every
Hmm.
book, it's pretty interesting to see that they're like so important for once.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
like
is that second one? I don't know when the
we
second
got
one's coming out.
Adam Project here. The second what?
Oh, the second issue of the Atom Project. Has it come
So
out yet?
that'll come out. It came out on February 5th. Yeah.
Oh no. I didn't see it. So I was looking around at the store yesterday and I was like, I saw the first one again. So I was like, okay, cool. The second one hasn't come out yet. Well, whoops. Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go hunting for that one.
Yeah, you can look that up at stores, or it might come to DC Universe Infinite Ultra in a couple, like by March 5th. It's usually like a month
Okay.
behind on
Yeah.
Ultra. Um, and then yeah, it's got some cool covers, interesting cast. Um, yeah, I don't know. So let's talk a minute just about DC All In general and where we're at with it so far. Like, we've been
Yeah.
fairly excited. I I'll admit I haven't been as successful keeping up with the All In titles as I have been on the All In universe. With like
Oh,
the
the absolute.
reboot, the absolute, yeah. It's so hard to keep track of these. Like,
I know.
you,
Well, it's because they have all in on the titles of like it's listed as all
yeah,
in on the absolute books too. So
hmm
it's yeah, it's just the name of the current initiative, I guess.
yeah.
But
The
it is
absolute Batman, absolute Superman, absolute Wonder Woman. I'm trying to keep up with those because it's a little bit less to follow. It's just 3 books, and they're all
yeah.
pretty decent, pretty good.
I'm
I mean,
interested in the Flash for that one.
oh yeah, there's going to be 4 books.
And then when Green Lantern drops, that one looks like it'll be cool.
Oh, 5 books. See, this is how it gets out of hand,
It's
guys.
yeah, it's gonna balloon. Oh,
This is the whole
and then
second universe
I
from
hate to
like,
bring it up, but there's Martian Manhunter coming out too.
oh my god,
So
absolute Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, have you
I
seen
forgot about
the
that.
art for
Yeah,
that?
Javier Rodriguez.
Yeah,
I do like his art, but I can't follow all these titles. But I'll do my best. Plus, I do have Ultra, so I can always pop on there when they're on
that's
there.
the thing. That's how I'm following the big three absolute ones right now because I didn't want to try to keep up with those books, but I might pick either Green Lantern or The Flash to follow like in floppy form.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm just gonna read them all digital.
hmm Yeah, so all in, it's definitely a big endeavor, but there's plenty of books, and I'm sure there's something for everybody. Um,
I wonder if the absolute is kind of overshadowing the main line. I feel like
in
most
a
of the hype I
way,
hear is for the absolute, and I think part of it
yeah,
is that everything is kind of like shared right now with DC on the all-in stuff. So it feels very like homogenous compared to absolute, where things are kind of taking big swings.
yeah, that's a good point. Like, I think there are benefits to both. Like, I do love a shared, consistent universe where the books relate to each other, but I also do love a fresh new take. So it's like I do think like it is very ultimate in a way. Back in its heyday, the Ultimate Universe was competing with the mainline Marvel universe, and and in the group we still have that. We have the new Ultimate Universe in the Marvel universe. We have the Absolute Universe in the All in DC mainline Earth One or whatever you call it, Earth Prime. I don't know, but my brain is broken. I can't talk about that anymore. Um, I do want to go back to Marvel a bit. And are you still there, Claude? On audio. All right, Claude had to step away for a bit, but I'm going to. Okay, he's
I
back.
returned. Sorry, it's a child
No worries.
emergency.
Yeah.
Um,
Hope everything's okay.
oh no, it's all good. It's all good. I just had to
Good,
grab
good.
something.
All right. But yeah, I just wanted to shift gears and I think is it my turn to pick a book? I don't know.
I think you just went, but
Okay, I did DC
I
Power.
was with
You
I'd
you
be
passed
fine
it.
with you going again because I only have one left. I don't know
Well,
what
take your
you got.
turn. I want to hear your last book.
Okay, so the last book, my one non-Marvel, is a book I've actually been following consistently, and that is the Power Fantasy.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Still
So
rocking.
don't spoil it for me because I'm behind, but I do
Are you?
intend to catch up. I
It
fully intend to
remains
catch up.
incredible.
Nice.
Yeah, it just keeps going. There's not a lot to talk about that's not a spoiler, because it's one of those books where what happens is always very meaningful. Yeah, but the characterization remains on point. It looks great. I did get an alternate cover because that was just me this week.
Which issue is
Everything.
that?
This is issue 6.
Okay, so I definitely next time we talk, I'm gonna have to be caught up so
You
we
should,
can talk
yeah.
more.
Be caught up by 7, and then we'll do a whole deep dive, or at
Okay, that
least,
sounds fun. Yeah.
yeah.
But
I
speaking of power, I hate to cut you off, but
Oh no, you're good. You're
we can
good.
save more discussion on that for the next time. But I have to mention another thing I've been reading lately is um, there have been some Power Man books that came out in February. There's two different ones. Okay, so I guess I'll start with Power Man Timeless #1. This came out, um, you know, just recently, and it's a follow up to the Timeless one shot that Marvel did like about a year ago. And I'm not sure if it's like for Black History Month or not, but you know, it features Luke Cage, so it's exciting to see him in all his glory because like this is like peak Power Man in the sense that like not only is he Luke Cage, but he has the powers of Iron Fist, Sentry, and the Hulk. So
Yeah, it's there's a lot going on there. I feel
it
like you
might be
don't
too
need
much.
I feel like you
Yeah,
don't need Iron Fist if you've got those other two,
but at
but
the very least, Iron Fist is directly
it's his
tied to
friend.
Luke
Yeah.
Cage. Yeah, and so there's some drama and there's some intrigue there. Whereas Sentry and the Hulk, you don't need them, but like it does make it more powerful theoretically.
Right.
Um, so like I have mixed feelings about this. But I'm curious to see if this sticks because it is interesting to see Power Man become like the most powerful character in all of Marvel comic books theoretically. Like I can't like if you like who could be more powerful? I mean, maybe these
You know,
cosmic
the yeah, I was
characters,
about to say those, yeah, those really
the
extreme ones. But
Beyonder or
I mean,
something.
yeah, you don't need more than what this is. Like,
It's a
it is
lot, but
the Kelly Lansing duo again for
yeah,
this one. They're actually the ones who are doing that
yeah.
Thunderbolts
The
as well.
Thunderbolts, yeah, and they're also doing NYX and a couple other things. Um, I generally like their writing well enough, but it does kind of frustrate me to see like for a long time we haven't had a Power Man book that was written by a black person. Like the last time they were about to do that was during Devil's Reign, and then the book got canceled and scrapped
Yep.
because some kind of internal issues we haven't really figured out the reason why. But
Yeah.
so it's like it's just interesting to see how you know Luke Cage as a character he has a tough time getting like his own spotlight, like his own
Yeah.
solo book, his own title. This I'm not sure if this is a mini series or ongoing. I think it's probably a mini series, but it's
Yeah, I think
definitely
it's
more than
just
one
like an
issue.
yeah, I think it's just like an I don't know if it's gonna be like an annual thing where they only do it.
No, the issue 2 is
It
coming
is
out
two.
next month,
Okay,
so
so it is okay. So it's
it's
not like
not a one
that
shot.
first timeless thing.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's this is definitely they're digging into it a bit more, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
so
curious to
I
see
would
where this
guess a
goes.
mini, but I mean, yeah, if it's doing well, maybe.
Yeah. So we'll see. The other Luke Cage thing I wanted to talk about is Ultimates #9.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that book came out, I think, on the same day. What was it, March? Let me see. I have it pulled up here. Yeah, Ultimates #9 came out on February 5th, and so did Power Man Timeless #1.
Okay.
So, are you caught up on Ultimates? Are you reading that at
I'm
all?
not. I ended up falling off of it after Hawkeye. So I got
Oh,
Hawkeye and I
okay.
was like, sweet. And then I just didn't keep up with the releases. So I'm reading that one on Ultimate as well.
Okay. Yeah, I
But
will
it's a
say
slower, yeah, it comes out slower for Marvel.
I will say that the Ultimates book, like leading up to that Hawkeye issue, like I I thought it was, building momentum. It had some interesting themes and topics. But one of my criticisms of the book was that it does kind of feel like almost every issue they're just introducing a new character
Yeah, like,
and
oh, here's our take on so and so. Yeah.
they're not really coalescing as a team. They're not really doing anything plot wise except like there is like a looming threat of the maker and like his people, but it's
Yeah.
a curious book. Like
Instead of
I'm
like
intrigued.
building on the relationships they have, they're like, let's pull in someone else to look at. And
Yeah,
yeah.
and let's do our own spin on them, and like and it is most of the time pretty cool and interesting. It's just like where is this all going?
Yeah.
And so that said, um, I will say like in the issues directly after that Hawkeye issue, I think like 6, maybe 7, they do start to get into like a more team up
The
plot with
real
the characters
okay.
that they have. But then they go back to introducing more new characters. So here we are with Luke Cage. And this cover is kind of deceitful because this is a bald Luke Cage in the comic, and then the actual comic he is not bald, which is not a huge deal, but like it is a different look for him.
That is interesting. Yeah, like
Like
how yeah.
like why wouldn't the main cover actually represent how he looks on inside the book?
Yeah, I wonder if they were
I
like
don't know.
decided on at different times. Like they just did the
Maybe.
cover really early, or I don't. Who
Yeah,
knows?
Chris Allen is doing the interiors. I think he's a black artist. He did a run of Black Panther that was pretty good. Here's an alternate cover by I want to say Torrin Clark. Um, and again, he's bald in this cover. I'm like, did anyone get the note or the memo that Ultimate Luke Cage has a different look? But because it's a very different look. Like it's like mutton chops and like cornrows and like an afro puff. It's like you got a lot going on. So
Yeah, so just
and
not even close.
right, and if you're going to distinguish him from you know mainline Luke Cage, then go all the way. That's what I think.
Yeah,
But but so this storyline is very political, guys. Like if you don't like politics in your comic books, then too bad. Like, don't read this book
That's not
because
going to be Ultimates. Yeah.
yeah, like it's literally about mass incarceration. Like it's about it's just very like it digs deep into the politics of that, and it's important. Like it does have a lot of important things to say. Um, I will say there is like a little cameo by Ultimate Danny Rand, and
Oh, really?
he also has a funny little different look here. Like I don't know if I'm like
Interesting.
I don't know if I'm 100% in on Chris Allen's designs, but it is different. So just
Okay.
be
I'll
prepared
have
for
to look
that.
at that because I do like Danny, so it'll be I will brace myself.
Yeah, brace yourself for that. Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he gets folded into. I mean, Iron, as you can see from this cover, Iron Lad or Iron Man or whatever his name is, he does have a role in this issue, and he does kind of acknowledge that Luke Cage is arguably the most successful superhero that he's made since he came and has been trying to make superheroes again.
Yeah, doing the
So
giving people origins basically.
yeah, like apparently Luke Cage has been the one to most kind of embrace that, and but his mission is more solo. Like he doesn't want to be part of a team at this point. So
Gotcha.
it'll be interesting to see if he does eventually get folded into the larger team. Because that's what this book needs. This book needs the team to come together. Like right now, you
And
got all
start,
these different characters
yeah.
with different designs, and it doesn't really feel any sense of cohesion for me. But the themes are good and important. So it's
Yeah, I
complicated.
wonder, yeah. Yeah, I wonder if they should have like fast forwarded on the recruitment and then just kind of filled it in later after they're interacting.
Oh, another
Uh,
thing about that, like
Flashback.
this is another issue where the timeline jumps in a crazy
Ah,
way, which can be kind of frustrating and mind bending, but it does have a reason for it. Like I had to like pay attention while I was reading, and eventually he does. The writer Denise Camp, he does kind of explain why it's
it's doing
jumping
that.
through these times.
There is
But
so much of that in this series.
yeah, it can be a little bit a bit much.
Yeah.
But there is a purpose for it, and whether or not you appreciate it after reading, that's up to you. Your
Yeah,
mileage
I
may
do wonder
vary.
if this is gonna like read really solidly as like two trades because it's already one trade is already out for it, but like yeah, if once it's all compressed, it'll yeah, kind of flow better.
We shall see. All right, so we're coming towards the end of our time today. There's a few more things that I would love to mention if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
So, really briefly, I will just say that I did finally finish watching um, the Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which actually came out last year on
Oh, did
August
it?
9th. Yeah, and it's on Paramount streaming, and it's a cute little show. Like if you like the movie, the recent Turtles movie that came out,
Hmm.
this is like directly following that with the same cast. The animation is more 2D, but it's still kind of cute to look at. Like it's got its own style, which I appreciate, and it's fun. It's comedic. It has action. Like it's a fun take on the turtles. I like it a lot. It's only like I want to say like 8 or 10. I think it's 10 episodes, so it's not like a huge commitment. Um, and they're all like 30 minutes. So one thing you have to be aware of getting into the series is that the episodes do kind of focus on like one turtle at a time,
Oh, okay,
and then
that's
they
good to
do
know.
kind of and they do kind of like come together for a couple of episodes, but it's not like the bulk of the series. And my biggest frustration with this show, I have to admit, you have to know this going in. They did not get Jackie Chan back to play Splinter. So
Oh,
they do all these workarounds to like have Splinter in the show, and it drives me crazy. And they lampshade that back all the time. Like, can I tell you what they do? Do you want to know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, so in like the first half of the show, they say that Splinter is speaking vermin, so he's just making like rat sounds like the whole time.
No.
And then after that, because this is the tales of the Teenage Ninja Turtles, they're like telling the story. for some reason they have the character, the voice actor for Raphael, dubbing Splinter in like what he calls himself a Batman voice, which is really strange. It's like
Oh no.
it's and
Oh
they do that for the rest of the series. It's like they couldn't. I'm just wondering why couldn't they find a Jackie Chan like replacement? Like it doesn't have to
yeah,
be Jackie Chan. They literally had an entire show called Jackie Chan Adventures, where a different person played Jackie Chan. This was back in the 2000s or
wow.
the
Yeah.
90s even. So like,
All right, where
what
is
happened to
he?
that guy? Why couldn't they find him?
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a fun show. It's worth a look. And there's one more show that I gotta mention while we're here. Uh, I hesitate to bring this up because I might have to get up on my soapbox,
Uh-oh.
um, but we have to talk about this. So we're gonna talk a little bit briefly about. Um, Give me a second. I want to pull it up.
I'm wondering if it's the one I just remembered that I didn't talk about yet. That's the
Is this
one.
it? Yep.
Yep, yep,
Okay.
yep.
Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. This came out January 29th on Disney Plus. It's MCU adjacent in the sense that like it's a new universe, but is like it
Taking a
references
lot of
MCU
yeah, it takes a
things.
lot of nods from there, or a lot of its cues.
Like it's kind of like based off the Tom Holland movies, but not quite.
Yeah,
So
like it took a turn. But yeah, it's
so so do you want to go first and talk about this, or do you want me to go first and talk?
I have a feeling, yeah, that your soapbox would be similar to how I would use a disclaimer on mine. So I'll let you do that part. Because
All right,
yeah,
so
I've
I'll just break the
yeah,
ice and say, like a lot of people who are watching this are probably aware. There was a whole uh uh moment before the show aired, like a day before the show aired. There was an article where the main voice actor Hudson Thames had made a comment very flippantly about how he was glad that this show wasn't woke, and so there's been a lot of discussion about what does that even mean and what did he intend to say. To this
yeah.
point, I don't think he's cleared up his comments. Like
No, not
I have not
really.
seen anything like
I think he
since
got
that.
told to just be
Be
quiet.
quiet,
Yeah, like
and
please stop talking. There's
sometimes being quiet is better. But like,
yeah.
but
I
I
feel like
also feel like it
you
wouldn't
would
hurt to
dig a
just like
hole.
clarify.
Yeah.
I mean, if it did hurt, well then that would he would show us how he really
Yeah, I was
feels.
about to say, I think that's their concern. They're like, well, people can't make a definitive choice one way or the other if he just never says anything, which is
And also just the times we're in make it so divisive. Like
yeah,
that one word is has so much context and so it's so loaded and like um I will admit it hurts me personally that he said that about this show. It made me not want to watch this show. It made me not want to support
yeah,
this show. Um
I feel that.
and this
So
show, I think the show intended to be it I think it intended to be well honestly.
that's what I was about to say. Like it, I mean, it is that like that's
Like, I can't like, the thing about my perspective of this is that you know there's so much debate now about is it woke, is it not woke. Well, I'm like, let's look at the broader context here. This is a show made by Disney. Disney is like a mega corporation. Like, is anything Disney makes woke?
right.
Like,
Like
I
it's,
mean,
I
that's
mean,
debatable.
they just chase money, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like
like
they'll scale back on certain topics if it's gonna stop making them money. So it's like, I mean,
as much as Disney does have diverse projects about different cultures and ethnicities and people and genders and everything,
yeah.
at the end of the day, they're here to make money,
You can
and
yeah,
they
you
don't.
can only praise them so much because like what is
Yeah.
their real goal? They're not I mean, yeah.
So, and even on top of that, this hurts me as a fan of Spider-Man because I love Spider-Man going back to the original Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, John Romita Sr. Like all these, we've had a lot of epic Spider-Man stories over the past 80 years, 60 years. I don't know how long it's been. Um, but the point is, um, we're now in a time where there are a bunch of spider characters. Miles Morales being arguably the next biggest one to Peter Parker.
Yeah, I would say so.
So so it's like so there are politics in the fact like why does Peter Parker get another show? We talk like this is I think like the 10th Peter Parker cartoon, and
Yeah.
in Miles Morales, he doesn't get his own cartoon except for like the movies. He's been in a few other
Yeah,
show
like
cartoons
small
as like
to
as a
yeah.
supporting role, but like they could have just as easily made a Miles Morales show, but they didn't, and they don't have to. I mean, Peter
Yeah.
Parker is the original. Like I get it.
Yeah, and it's like it's using his cast, but it's also like taking new characters and putting them in, so it doesn't have to be Peter.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So it's all very like we might not want it to be political, but it is, and on top of that, it's politicized. And like I'm not
Yeah.
trying to politicize it further, but I am trying to understand the context of this show, as an adult. Because like if I was a kid, I wouldn't be thinking about this. I would just
Yeah.
watch it and probably like it. But as an adult, I do feel hurt by a lot of the specific choices that went into the making of this show, and I'm just not sure what to think about it. But
Yeah.
do you have any thoughts that you'd like to share about it?
I mean, overall, like separating it from the actors' statements about it, I really loved the show. It took me a little while to warm up to the art style, but once I was there, like I thought all of the character arcs were really solid and well explored. They set up a bunch of stuff for the future and like characters we get to see. I'm hoping beyond hope that those nods to the slingers that they've made become a bigger thing, because it would be cool seeing them actually as their own characters and not just costumes. But I'm interested in a second season. I wonder if we'll ever get clarification from Thames or if that's just never going to happen. But I mean, on its own as a show, I really enjoyed it. It's not because the comparison will always come up. Compare it to X-Men 97. I don't like it as much as that one, but it's a really solid piece of animation.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Like yeah, I don't know what like in the interest of time, I'm not going to say too much more about this show today.
Gotcha.
Um, but I will say that well, I think it was interesting you do the comparison to X Men '97. Before X Men '97 came out, there was all the speculation about is it going to be CGI, kind of like What If, or is it going
Yeah.
to be hand drawn? They ended up mostly going hand drawn, but they did have like a few moments of like CGI. But this show is all CGI. Like
Yeah.
it's rendered such as to look like hand drawn, like character like outlines and shading, and so it's interesting because this isn't the first time. Like we can go back to 2003, and there was the MTV Spider-Man cartoon, which was similar, like with CGI models,
Yeah.
and um, so obviously, technology has advanced since then, and this is Disney. So like this show has a Disney budget, and it shows. Like this
Yeah.
show, like I mean, I there's more that I might say about this show in the future, but I'm gonna end it there.
Okay.
And yeah, it's interesting that this show came out so quickly. Like it was like 4 weeks, and then like it's
The release schedule was odd. Whoops. Um, with like two, three, three, two. It was yeah. It felt like it just flew by. So I don't know if they're just trying to make room for other things, or they didn't have much faith in the project, or yeah. I just don't understand because it wasn't like a full binge release, but it also wasn't technically one a week. So
but at the risk of like opening myself up to you know a can of worms, I am going to encourage you guys to tell us your thoughts about this
ooh,
show.
yeah. There you go.
Leave a comment. and not just about this show, but any of the things we talked about. Feel free to let us know what you're reading, what you're watching, what you like, what you don't like. You know, we love discussion. Just try to keep it polite. You know, no need for like really hateful
No
comments.
vitriol, please.
Yeah, no vitriol. But yeah, yeah, we want to hear from you. And if you want to join us for our future comic book club, you can find me at DMVCBN. I'm primarily, on Blue Sky and Threads and YouTube these days. And again, Claude, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you?
Yeah, so I am Curly Insane Guy on Twitch. I am on Instagram, Curly Insane Guy underscore, and yeah, I run some games on other Twitch channels. But if you follow me on my socials, you can get those. I don't want to shout out every project or anything, but yeah.
Any upcoming streams you want to mention?
So, because of Emerald City Comic Con, the release schedule for the TTRPG actual play I run is like in the air right now. So none
Is
to
Comic
list
Con coming
currently.
up soon?
Yeah, there's one at the beginning of March or
Awesome.
second week of March in Seattle.
So you going?
Yep, yep. I'll be
Woo!
actually running some games there, but hopefully I can also get some comics signed.
Awesome. Well, can't wait to hear all about your experience, and I hope you have a great time.
The
Um,
video's off. Oops, sorry.
you're good. Um, yeah, have a great time there. That's on the opposite coast from me, so I will not be there. But yeah, hope everyone there has a great time. Um, yeah, so like I said, I'm hoping to do these at least once a month going forward. So look out for a date in March where we might have our next comic book club. So everybody keep reading, keep watching. Let us know your thoughts. And until next time, friends, Excelsior! Bye bye.